1, 2. Let me know when you're good to go. Hey guys, my name's Tony Brown and you're watching The Stoke Show, the show that we talk about all things that make me stoked.
That's right.
And what makes me more stoked than Pete Beck? Pete Beck, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I don't think there's a better feeling than racing or paddling fast down a river with all your friends. The only thing that could be better is beating your friends.
Okay, well, I didn't think we were going to start this strong in the show, but I know where this is going.
So how was your go fast lap?
My go fast lap was nice. I think it was like the tortoise and the hare type deal. Except in this story, the hare still somehow beats the tortoise.
Oh, I'm the hare?
Yeah, I was gonna give that to you, like out of courtesy.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. So what was your time? I can't really remember.
21:58.
21:58. So mine was 20:54. So I think if we do the math right, work with me, Stephen. Is that? I would pass him by 4 seconds. Yeah.
No, hey, so just so you guys know, Stephen is off camera. Stephen, you're not a part of this conversation.
So if you don't know the backstory, last year was Tony's first Go Fast Day. And that it is an experience and it's a process learning how to do that and manage your physical, your mental, emotional, just breathing.
It's a big deal.
And he gassed out early trying to chase Jerry down.
Yeah, I think the big thing last year too was like wearing warm weather gear.
Yeah.
I think like piece of advice to anybody who tries to race is like, even in the cold weather, if you're not going to be underwater at all, like don't wear cold weather gear.
You're going to get warm quick. And if you're not cold when you start, you're going to be in trouble when you're running. So
absolutely. I remember I took my helmet off at the end last year and it was just like this big steam plume flying out and I was just like, oh, this was terrible.
Yep.
But it was good. I mean, like this year, no one passed me. Someone did catch up to me, but no one passed me. So I feel like, Pyrrhic victories in that regard.
But no, I'm proud of you, man. Like, no kidding.
Yeah.
Seeing you progress through the years. Taking it way back, found Anthony on the Hall River with some other friends, and a friend of mine's like, "Hey, you mind paddling? If Anthony and I paddle with you?" I was like, "Sure." So that was Steve.
Yeah,
and,
Steve McConnell.
And so we went down a lap, and I was like, "This guy has potential, and he's young and he's strong. He looks good. He's going to be a rock star."
I'm glad you think I look good. I don't know if all those other attributes are accurate.
Well, I mean, you can't deny nature.
For sure.
So he had all the qualities that a whitewater paddler needs to do well, and unfortunately, he did not know who I was. He was a Jerry Yang fan, so.
Gary's pretty cool though.
Jerry's pretty cool, and I said, "Well, come paddle with us, and I'll set up a trip with Jerry." And us, he's like, "No way!"
I don't think I was that excited.
He was pretty excited, but no, like I think we ran here first, right?
No, we ran the Hall first, and then I think we did like a whitewater center day or something, and then we went and did this as my second run with you.
With Jerry was here though, is that correct? I think
it was me, you, Steve, and then some of your other buddies that took us down that day.
Okay.
And then we did a second follow-on lap.
That's right.
With him on another day.
And so, in any case, here he is, 2.5 years later.
Yeah, just about 2.5 years.
Had a remarkable year in 2023. Fired up some big stuff. Some of it went really well. Some of it left a little baseline for improvement. But it's really fun to watch you come up.
I know. I'm sad we haven't been boating more together.
Yes. Well, apparently, if you want to be a better boater, you have to boat with good people, and that kind of precludes me from the conversation. You have to go chase your dreams with meat eaters out there.
Yeah.
So he got with Matt Wallen and some of the other guys, of course, Portage Posse and.
Well, I think if the rivers, like if those people are meat eaters, I feel like I got eaten in some of those situations for sure. But
the river always wins.
Yeah, the river always wins at the end of the day.
Yep.
But it's been really good, like being able to look back at like some of our older videos. Like I'll fire them up every now and then. I'll be like, man, I was terrible at this sport.
I think I sent you a message on Facebook or a text. Something came up in my feed from like 2 years ago or something, and you had just completed something big. I don't know if it was Rust Fork Gorge or something. I was like, dude, you've come a long way in the last year and a half.
I think it's crazy too, because one of the big components of paddling, as we talked about at the beginning, was just the mental side of it. And I think this winter's been kind of tough. I've been in a weird spot, just not boating as hard in the winter as I did the year before. And so it was kind of one of those like soft, sweet moments I kind of get to have by myself where I was like, oh man, You know, maybe I don't suck
Yeah.
as bad as I think I do.
Anthony does not suck, people. He can paddle, and you're getting better. You haven't peaked. His chart, you're moving up. You know, I'm coming down, so we're like crossing.
We'll intersect
right now.
next year. Next year,
maybe
we'll
the
intersect.
year we'll probably finish dead level.
Yeah.
Because I think last year I only beat you by 3 or 4 minutes.
It was like 2 minutes,
think
which
it was
is
3.
I don't. Let's for
You were
the
number
audience
10
say
last year.
yes.
I was number 13, and I beat him by probably 45 seconds.
It was not 45 seconds.
It felt like 45 seconds.
Okay.
It felt good.
And so there,
I gotta take these wins while I can, because soon he'd be like, "Hey, you tried, Pete. Good try."
well, you're gonna hit the 50-year mark here soon,
Yep.
and then
Year and a half.
hopefully my hill is like up here, and yours is like down here. So you're on the down.
Oh, I'm
trend,
down.
And
I'm
hopefully
way
my
down.
peak is higher. So like
I'm
that's,
going down so fast. I've tried to turn the momentum into a few race victories, but it's going down fast. But.
Well, the lucky thing about this Paddle Fast is that, you know, they're expanding the older people category. So I feel like you at least have a long history of winning left ahead of you, hopefully.
Yes,
unless
fortunately,
Brian Davis keeps
Brian
paddling.
Davis he's aged out, so I'll have 2 more. I have 1 more race. Yeah, 1 more race, because I'll be 49 next year. Maybe 2 more races.
Okay.
Or 1
okay.
more race. I don't remember, but I'll be able to win 1 more time maybe before I move up to Brian Davis's category, which I'm not going to win that. So.
Well, do you think you could take some Brian Davis pointers for like looking as young as Brian Davis does? Like I feel
I'm
like
gonna
if
try.
I had to compare the two,
I don't know what
wouldn't.
he's drinking, but it's probably water from the fountain of youth.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That guy does not look a
No.
day over like 35.
No, he's fit. He's doing well. But no, it's good to get out here and mix it up with boaters from all categories. There's like really newer to creeking people out here giving it their shot. There's some of the better kayakers in the Southeast out here throwing down some incredible laps, like Elijah and some of the other guys.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure Elijah's a stud.
Yep. And Brown Mountain Beach Resort, graciously hosting each year, makes it, it just brings this whole event to another level of, you can plan for it, you can come for the weekend, you can do all these things. But what it also does, since they plan a hard date, is that some years the water's going to be up.
Some years it's going to be low.
Some years it's going to be low. And so that gives this event kind of a neat characteristic where it becomes open to people not really ready to take on big water creeking, but they can get their feet wet and come down the beautiful gorge. And then other years it's going to be, left to the meat eaters, like we say, the big boaters to get out here and do their thing.
Yeah,
so.
it's been interesting though, but I think last year, I don't remember us having as many swims, I think last year. I think last year was a pretty good, clean, like everyone stayed upright day, which is, I mean, obviously it's like -10, I think last year, -9.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if there's enough water to really swim through.
I don't think there's enough water to be upside down all the way.
Yeah, for sure. You always have at least some air left in you.
Yeah. So this is just enough to get the pump going. If you hit something, one of the big ledge holes sideways, it's just enough to get you stuck in there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I found myself in like a couple holes today, but like it was no longer than like half a second, But it's -6 is nothing as it is. I think when you're really like pumping the gas, it's kind of a lot. I think that being able to pace yourself in one of those situations is like the biggest component of racing.
Breathing, pacing. I was talking to Tony a little bit before the Go Fast, and I said, your goal this year should be not spinning out and staying in the flow, and then paddling top to bottom, whatever that pace is. Like, just get a pace that you can go from the beginning of the race to the end without stopping. And did you feel like that worked? Or did you go for that?
I mean, I think we should preface this so that your first piece of advice was, hey, Tony, the key to winning is going as hard as possible from the gate. And then I looked at you and I was like, well, that was last year's good advice, so you need a new good advice this year.
Jerry didn't help you last year. Did you see the cockpit tug?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I did see that he cheated in the event.
He cheated on his protege, which was, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't have done that to you.
But you would pass me in a comical way
yeah.
and cackle as you do so.
No, but it was fun to watch you and Jerry start that race last year, and I was like, oh, they're going strong, which is, you're a competitive person. You've done competitive sports, and you're good at.
I'm just not in the shape that I think I once was
so
when
that
I did
competitive drive makes you want to gun it when they say go, and it's hard to pull off of that and realize this is 2 miles. It's not a 100-yard dash. This is a 2-mile run. So a lot of people have trouble, and you can tell people all you want. Don't do it. It seems like that first race, they burn it.
Oh,
And,
I think everyone does. I mean, I think of everybody I know that was like their first year paddling this year.
Yeah.
Every race they did, it was like, oh yeah, I'm gunning
Yeah.
it.
So if you want to race, you're gonna mess up. It's gonna take a few races to get that down, but it's like anything else. Stick with it. Your turnaround from last year to this year was pretty remarkable. And Jerry and I both swam our first races, and you did not. So
Yeah, I haven't swam either year. You know, like I'll
There
take
you
that
go,
with a
yeah.
badge
So,
of honor.
That's awesome.
But speaking of this event, I mean, like you've definitely taken like a step up and being directly involved with some of the support, as well as
Yeah.
like I think even in the past years, you've kind of had a key component in advertising this event and really getting like
Yep. So
people involved.
So, the other people, get everything organized and then kind of get the dates and whatever. And what I can offer is, like you say, support, trying to get the word out, trying to bring people that boat, people that don't boat, people from all over. I think we had a couple people that came 4 or 5 hours drive to come to the event today.
Yeah.
And some of them are staying up here at the resort for the weekend. We're going to try to boat with a couple of them. So it's been fun to do what I can for it to make it go. Win, lose, or draw, or whatever, that's really insignificant. The whole thing is to get out here as a community, remember, celebrate Amie Beggs' life. And just on a personal note, I think for each paddler, as years go by, I'm a little older, so I get a little more
Emotional, sentimental.
maybe my perspective
Senile.
has just changed. Senile, that's good.
Yeah.
But you realize there will come a day where I'll be sitting in front of a chair like this and I was a king once or whatever. Yes, sir, Mr. Beck, sure.
Yeah,
Put him in
for
front of the
sure.
window, let him look at water. I won't be able to do this anymore. So each year I come out here, it's more like, hey, we're still going around on this big planet having fun, and you see all your friends you don't see all year, and folks like you who started on the Haw River,
Ugh.
and in short order you're out here gunning it in the near future. Whooping me, I'm sure it's going to happen.
Oh, maybe one day.
Oh, probably next year.
If I commit to working out, I feel like I can get the
I didn't want to
cardio
bring this up, but you're a math guy. If you look at the math numbers, the amount I beat you by last year
Is
and the amount I
reducing.
beat you by this year, you should win by a minute
next year.
next
yes.
year.
Yeah.
I mean,
You heard it here first,
he
guys.
should do
We're
it.
we're like forecasting the future.
Yeah.
I think we're psychics at this point.
and he'll probably be racing the Narrows soon. I'm just gonna.
We'll see. We'll see. I
If
think
he wants it, he can do it. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. You
Yep.
know, I think that the most important thing to me right now is just the community that we've kind of built, especially here in the Southeast. You know, it's the only community I know, but it's one of the closest knit from
It is.
anyone I've really talked to. Like, to me, this event is one of the best events for just getting together,
Yep.
talking to all your local paddlers within the Southeast, but on the lower level. If
Yep.
I were to say that Southeast had a different event that was maybe like for the higher end of paddling, doing very much the same thing and coming together, I'd say it's the Russell Fork race. And
Yeah.
I think you should get out there this year. You know, I feel like
Might go.
you could race it. You'd probably crush it.
Maybe
Maybe rub some elbows, you know?
rub some elbows. And the Narrows, the green race. That's maybe the world's foremost kayaking event.
Well,
That's down in here.
Yeah, it is, but I think that there's something to be said about the event as being very high
Accessible.
profile.
Yeah.
It's definitely a high profile event where this is an event for the boaters by the boaters.
Yep.
Whereas I think Russell Fork is very much the same thing. It's
Yeah,
for the
it's
boaters
true.
by the boaters. Whereas
Yep.
the green to me is just like, it's the spectacle of like kayaking in
Yes.
all of its glory.
So Wilson Creek actually is kind of like a little, kind of wrapped all up in like what River Kings has turned into over the last few years.
I think it's your river. Like if
Yeah,
I were to
yeah.
name a river after you, it'd probably be this river.
So I started back in the day just boating for myself, like all young boaters do and should do, seeing what they can do in the sport, challenging themselves, pushing, charging, being all you can be. And as you get a little older, for me it changed when I had my son. He wanted to become a boater, so my focus turned into, I'm going to teach my son how to boat. And I went back and caught all those class 2-3 rivers that I skipped all that when I was coming up myself. Went straight to a couple class 3s and then straight to 4-5. And
Yeah.
we just did that. But so now coming back into it with the second half of my kayaking life, whatever you want to call it, more in tune with not boating just for myself, but watching and helping grow the sport and bringing people up. And this event is just like a little microcosm of that. It's anybody that puts in the effort can be here in a year's time.
Oh, for sure. Wilson
It's not
Creek
like the Narrows. That's
so
the
great.
150, 180 of the best boaters on the planet. And most kayakers will never be good enough to run that race. That's the long and short of it. So the accessibility is not there. But Wilson, depending on the level, Wilson is attainable for every kayaker. If you want a whitewater boat, this is not a river that is, I'll never be able to do that. This is a river that if I want this is within reach. And so the event here is fun to watch newer boaters come up here and run and compete and do their thing, see what they can do, measure themselves by the river, and see folks like Elijah and Brian and Chris Wing and all the other guys out here, just, some of the better boaters around.
For sure.
And just realize that ego is not found here. Everyone's just having fun, and it's about just paddling for yourself and enjoying it.
It's a good cross-pollination, I think, between like lower end boaters and higher end boaters. I think there's a love for this river, especially. I talk to so many people, and this is kind of like a therapy river. Like it's even on low water, it's still enjoyable. You kind of can go here and clear your mind. There's a lot that you can do and still have fun with without it being the most deadly river.
Yeah, so this river's fun to danger ratio is really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Really good. One of the best. In fact, it's so good, it makes you feel somewhat relaxed a little bit because
almost to like a false sense of security.
Sometimes that river's like, hey, I'm for real, and then you realize, have you had an experience like this recently?
Oh man, I definitely have. The other week we were out here at a +9 day, and
tell me about that.
Oh well, for you guys who don't know, me and Pete, we talk all the time. We don't boat together as much anymore these days, but we love to chit chat. And I told Pete, as I do every day after I get off the river, I'm like, man, I got this awesome story for you. And much like all my other stories, it starts with me definitely like beatering a little bit and getting destroyed.
There's only two stories that come from a day of battling: the best move I've ever done, and the worst moment I've ever done. And we enjoy both of them the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I actually came into triple drop on my third lap of the day. I told myself I was only gonna do 2 laps that day. And I came into my third and I was like, man, I'm pretty tired. So I come into triple drop, I messed up the second drop, pitoned the left wall, went in backwards into the hole at the bottom of triple drop. And it's a rough hole at that level.
Yeah.
And I was in for a rodeo. It's a solid minute of rodeoing for sure. At least it felt like that to me.
Yeah.
Long enough that the people I was paddling with were able to set up safety, get out of their boats, get ready to throw me a rope.
Make some coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Make themselves at home before I finally was able to plug my bow into the water and flush out.
Well, I tell this to people all the time, talking about this. It's not the guy who gets down the river with great lines. It's when you mess up your line and you're stuck in a hole for 45 seconds. Not a lot of people can do that. And I told my son when he does things like this, or anyone else, I'm more proud of a person for managing that situation than that perfect line that they know well, that should go well.
Yeah.
It's how do you respond to when things are going poorly, terrible? Like, can you keep it together? Can you do you have the wherewithal? There's a lot of things that go into that. And
I mean, that's a big skill, I think.
Yep.
Especially as you begin to paddle more and more and you progress in your career. I think the biggest thing I've taken away from your kind of mentorship was that ability to handle stress and try to at least keep some kind of level-headedness.
And
in
smile.
You
just gotta smile.
Well, I don't miss having to smile coming up out of the water, knowing that
ding!
There's a ding coming.
Yeah, the swimmer bell is, if you don't know the swimmer bell, it's a way to celebrate your swim. Obviously, no one wants to swim, and no one wants to swim on camera, and it was starting to happen quite frequently. And but I think if there's a thing where people try to hide those moments. I mean, it's real.
It is.
Everybody swims, even the best boaters on the planet, and so since we don't see that from them, there's this kind of like, I don't know, the false kind of narrative that good boaters don't swim. And so as you're coming up and you swim, you feel shame, like you want to hide it.
Yeah. So I want to pose a question to you actually in the conversation of the swimmer bell.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely a little bit of a contentious thing, I think, among the community. Like
you think?
I think amongst people who have paddled with you, I think that there are people who don't like the swimmer bell and those who like it.
The ones who don't like it probably have earned a lot of them. And that's going to be human nature. I have had people ask me, I really wish you wouldn't do that. And I'm like, well, all of us are swimming. I bell myself when I swim. It doesn't matter who you are. If I go paddling with Dane Jackson, he swims, he's getting a bell. I'll try to put a sticker on. He probably won't take it, but
I mean, it's a good point of honesty.
Yeah, it's honest. It's like, hey, join the club. You swam. It's really not that big a deal. Everyone does it. That's kind of the point. Is it's not like, ha, you swam. It's more like you swam. Like, we'll try not to swim next time, but join the club. And so now we have we call it the River King Swim Team. And for all of you out there who's in part of the swim team, you know, it's a pretty tight community.
I will say, I don't wear my
my
swim team shirt out in public.
Do you wear your sticker on your helmet?
I don't know if my current one has a sticker on it.
I have some stickers up at the
I don't
cap.
think I need it, but I won't say no to it out of courtesy and respect to you.
Yeah. No, I wear mine. It's on there right now. It's a way for me to just kind of ease that moment. Like, it doesn't really matter. There's no shame in swimming. You know, you can say you need to be honest about your skill set. So if you're on a river where you're wildly unprepared, out of control, maybe reevaluate that. But, you know, if you're pushing yourself, especially, and you're paddling water and trying to learn, you're going to swim.
Yeah.
And it's not the bad, like, vibe some people have about swimming shouldn't be there. And my point is, let's just all get past that. We're all going to swim.
Yeah, I mean,
so if I highlight it, you're part of our team now. You're part of the club. You get the sticker. You get a prize for being a swimmer. Let's move on with our day, and then what you'll find is eventually you stop swimming. Hopefully.
I mean, hopefully.
Yep.
I think everyone's in between swims, but
they are.
You know.
They get fewer and farther apart, and much worse on your body. I will say that. As you become a better paddler, you swim a lot less, but when you do, you remember them a lot more.
Yeah.
Because it's in bad places usually.
Yeah, I definitely think that your last swim was probably the most eventful.
That was Chioa. Hard to believe I actually swam right there, but it did happen. And if you haven't seen that video, it's a pretty gnarly swim. I was gagging up water. If I didn't have Wade nearby, I'd probably still be swimming somewhere on the lake. But yeah, and I had to climb back in and sort things out and move on down the river and enjoy the rest of the day, which we did. That's another part of it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's class 1 pool or class 5, you know, how do you respond?
Yeah, it's interesting because actually both of our last swims were on Chioa. Yeah. I'd gone a long stint without swimming, and then I actually paddled the Chioa back like for its last release in the end of the fall, early winter. And yeah, no, my skirt like came up. I had been in and out of my boat all day, super uncomfortable in a new dry suit. It was way warmer than I think it really needed a dry suit.
Yeah.
But it was in that beginning of winter where you're like, oh, it's cold.
Yeah, you need something, but you're hot, and then trying to adjust. So yeah, like he said, he calls me from the ride. Normally we both have to drive a pretty good bit to get to water, and so in his moment of boredom after the other 50 or 60 people on his call list are expended, he does call me, and we share stories, and sometimes it's he's bragging, sometimes it's just chatting, and other times it's like, bro, like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I swam Chioa. I was like, so did I, you know? And it's fun to hear all those stories, but it can leave you in a funk.
It can.
If you have a bad day on a river where you thought you shouldn't have, it can leave you kind of in a funk. And I think you were kind of starting to dip into that a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah. And what do you do when you get in a funk?
You kind of got to force yourself out of it. I mean, like, especially for whitewater, it's one of those things where you'll spend so much time boating the same thing because you don't really want to risk feeling ashamed of what you have made the mistakes of doing, like swimming, for example. And I mean, getting back out there is the number one thing that you can do in that situation and feel confident in who you are as a boater. Yeah. And I mean,
and surround yourself with folks that genuinely interested in seeing you do well.
Yeah.
And then just moving on. Be the goldfish. 30-second memory. Get back in your boat. Start paddling.
Yeah,
doesn't
for
matter.
Sure. And I think I think when you have the ability to have people like you and others around you, it's always good to have that kind of like gentle shove to get back out there, even if it's in the form of a good pep talk.
Yeah. Pep talks, the ribbing, the back and forth is part of the camaraderie. It's all fun. So. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you got a little fun.
Yeah, we're going to do a fun
paddle.
lap. We got some folks. A guy I haven't met yet, Craig. We just met, rather. I hadn't paddled with him. My son, Justin, several of us. We're going to go have a fun lap, celebrate another beautiful day in the gorge. I wish you could come.
Yeah, I think.
You see, he said he wanted to paddle with me, but he's not coming. Hey, she's probably not listening, but do you not have permission?
I think I've already made her wait enough of the day away for
You're
me.
wise man. He's married now, and he's making mature decisions. Some people learn the hard way. You know, let me tell you this, a little piece of marriage advice.
Okay.
I've been married for 22 years, almost 23 in August. When my wife and I got married, we made the decision that I would make all the major decisions. She would make all the minor decisions, and we'd kind of stay in our lane. And for us, it's worked out good. In almost 23 years of marriage, we've never fought about that. And it's been good because I've never
Made any decisions.
There's never been
Yeah.
any major decisions. So, piece of advice for you, man. Keep the wife happy.
Exactly. But Pete, thanks for coming on the Stoke Show.
Absolutely.
You know, it's so funny too because we never did an interview with when I did the on the water stuff. So
Yes.
it's actually kind of like symbolic and kind of
coming around.
yeah, that's life.
It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be part of your journey, and I can't wait to see where you go next. man.
Absolutely. Thanks everybody. This
Portage
is the Stoke,
Posse.
Yeah, and the Stoke Show.
Oh wait, is it Stoke?
Yeah, well, this is
Studios?
no. It's just the Stoke Show with the Portage Posse.
These guys have so much going on. I can't even.
We
keep
need a brand.
up.
We need a name.
They
for
are a
everything.
powerhouse
Yeah.
of media. Awesome. Well, let me go hit the river.
All right,
and
man.
We'll see you around.
See you around. Woo.